Championship Wrestling Breakdown. SCW announcer jam.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between, I am Jam, and this is the SCW podcast, SCW Breakdown. And in our latest episode, I'm speaking with the challenger to the SCW Interstate Championship on June 14th at the Martin Skate venue, the last son of a rock star, Dean Hendrix. How you doing today, Dean?
My man, I'm doing alright. But, yeah, good intro, Jam. Didn't upset me like usual.
Oh, like usual. Okay.
I appreciate that.
Oh, okay. Hey, hopefully I can keep up for the rest of the show. Now, let's start with something simple. I just want to know, who is Dean Hendrix?
Dean Hendrix is a son of a rock star. He, at times didn't have his dad and had to learn that was life on the road. That was performing shows, touring, going city to city, and it really just parallels to the pro wrestler that I am today and that I want to be tomorrow in the future. Eventually I want to do that. I don't want to be stuck in the same bubble. I want to have life on the road, travel city to city, have everybody remember who Dean Hendrix is. People think that, my character is being like a rock star. Like, I'm a rock star, and a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but some people thought it was one-dimensional. How can you call yourself a rock star in some way if you don't play an instrument, if you don't do this and that? And I guess they don't see the parallel between a rock star and a pro wrestler. It's the same thing. It's entertainment, baby. So, yeah, that's really like what inspired the characters, because my dad inspired me to wrestle. Took me to my first show when I was 9. Monday Night Raw, 2009 actually. Summer 2009 at Joe Louis Arena. Like literally first and last time at Joe Louis Arena. The pyro scared the hell out of me, to the point where I wasn't really enjoying the show, because I'm in 2009 everybody had freaking pyro. So I was so jumpy and so I guess anxious. But I looked over at my dad, he was just loving it. Just was super psyched about it. Just had the time of his life, and he got those tickets for me. It wasn't no rock show. My dad was addicted to a lot of drugs. I guess that's what happens when you have ambitions and they don't come out a certain way that you want them to, and everybody deals with that differently. I guess he dealt with that in a not so good way. And not to get too adult, but it was everything from, because I remember asking my mom, I was like, what was he so addicted to? What was it? I know he drank a lot. She's like, honey, I wish he just drank. He eventually got into crack, and I didn't see my dad for a while. He got help. Got to see him for a little bit because he was living with my grandma, going to AA meetings, still drinking a ton. I'd still watch wrestling all the time with him though. And that was around the same time that Pete took me out to that show. And that was the best relationship I really had with my dad, besides going to shows with him. Fast forward a few years later, he decides to move back out to California. I do not know why. And while he's out there, gets hooked on whatever again, see a friend disowns him on Facebook, and He winds back up in Michigan. I get a call from him. I see my dad probably for like the first time in like 5 years. Skin and bones, man. Took me to like this like woman's house, like where like she'd like take like drug addicts off the street and like let them like live there to like try to help them, I guess, in some way. Really not, just taking advantage of her. And that was the last time I saw my dad alive. Fast forward to February 2019, I got a call. My dad's apartment living complex, where he was getting like assisted living, burnt up. And if history serves me correct, it was started in his room. And I thought about what it could be. And the only thing that, I could think was, it was, you're so high or so intoxicated when you spark a cigarette up. Let it fall on you or whatever, and stays lit, burns up. Burn up this couch, fell asleep with one in my hand. So it was like that, and I got a call about that. He was in hospice, and by this time I knew I wanted to be like a pro wrestler, but I never got to tell him in person. And in hospice he was he was like in that state where like you could like talk, like you could talk to him, like they could like possibly hear you, sort of thing. It's like that. So talked to him one last time, told him I was going to be a pro wrestler, and the Son of a Rock Star was like an homage to him, because to be honest with you, audience, I don't want that story to be of my dad as what people remember. He was a rock star, and that's what he is to me. There's a saying, being a POS isn't what makes you an addict. Being an addict is what makes you a POS. So that was that's what like I chalk it up as. He was a good dad, hell of a rock star. So that's what I took it as. To be honest with you, I was like mad at him. So like when I started in pro wrestling, I wasn't the son of a rock star Dean Hendrix. I was the Great Escape Dean Hendrix. The last name, was an homage to like, rock star, like, my dad. But I wanted to be the Great Escape because I wanted to. Wrestling is an escape for everybody. You go home, you don't want to deal with work. You don't want to think about work. You don't want to think about your ex-girlfriend. You don't want to think about the problems of your new girlfriend. You don't want to think about financial problems. You don't want to think about none of that. You want to escape, man. Just for a couple hours, you just want to escape. So I wanted to be the Great Escape because of that. Because I wanted to help people escape their depression, their struggles in life, and enjoy the 15 minutes or however long I get to be out there. Give them a moment, that makes them forget about what the hell's going on in this world, bro. So, in a long, detailed description, that, my friend, is who Dean Hendrix is.
Wow, you've been through a lot. So first off, let me just say thank you for sharing that.
Of course. I am an open book. I faced struggles early on that made me struggle to this day, but all you can do is find beauty in the struggle, and that's like the biggest thing.
How do you find beauty in the struggle?
So when anyone listening, like if you ever feel like you're rock bottom in life, how much worse can it get? It's rock bottom, bro. So that must mean there's only up from there, like there's only going up from here. And if you think with that mindset, and if you put that 1 foot forward, find that silver lining, bro, it can all happen. The world is yours. The world is anybody's, bro. You just got to go out there with that mindset, no matter how tired, exhausted, pissed off you are. You got to go out there and do it, man. There might be pearly gates at the end of this. There might be black nothing. I don't know, but I'm going to live it up for the one shot I got. So that's what I guess, like, kept me ticking through all this.
I think that's a good mindset to have. For the listeners at home especially, I really want to gauge, how do you make the world your oyster? Because especially with all things that you've been through, it's easy to kind of get knocked down and not have the drive to get back up. What's bringing you the drive to get back up every time you hit rock bottom?
For the viewers at home who don't watch basketball and who has no knowledge of it, look up Kobe Bryant. Mamba mentality. No matter what, there's just like, you can only just start again, I guess. Like, I don't care how many versions, evolutions of Dean Hendrix or Dean whoever I gotta be in order to get to somewhere I want to be or to feel like accomplished. I'm always going to try again, and that's what everybody should do, no matter what. Like, for the viewers at home, if you just do a 9 to 5 and go home and it's not your passion, then I feel sorry. Like, truly, because even though I don't know if I'll ever succeed at this, make money or be contracted, I'm trying to live it up. This is my passion. Like, I call myself an artist, not because I paint or make music, but because I try to paint you guys moments. I try to capture your attention. I try to, like I said, gives you something that either motivates you, makes you feel something, or makes you forget about whatever the hell you're going through. That's just like, find your passion. It could be anything. Taking a picture, wood carving, sword fighting, MMA, just fitness in general. To be honest with you, I'm learning to, like, what if things don't happen for Dean Hendrix? One of my other passions is bodybuilding. I love bodybuilding. I can spend 2 hours in the gym. And that's not, viewers at home, that's not sitting on the machine texting girls or boys back for 30 minutes. That's hard work. I don't know, Jam. I just love putting my body through like some sort of pain because it reminds myself I'm not completely dead inside. But as you guys should find that thing that doesn't make you feel dead inside either, and I can say that in the most positive way, because I've been there. Man, have I been there, man. Just some real dead inside feeling, but rock bottom's beauty, baby. It's only up from here, and that's what I just try to focus on.
It seems like you found your passion in wrestling. That seems like your thing to kind of build your oyster upon, for lack of a better phrase.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. To be honest with you, things didn't kick off so hot for me. And it's funny when a lot of new guys, I don't know, think they're about to be. Sometimes you got to take that back seat for a minute. And sometimes you really got to learn this stuff and be a student of the game. Whatever you have a passion for, also be a student of the game. Don't just do it just to do it. Like, look up how to try to be awesome at it. Try your best at it. Give it 150%. It's like I said, you only got one go around. But like, I started out rough, man. Like, I'm talking about botched matches, botched promos. I'd shoot a promo for a show and it'd take me like 30 minutes just to shoot a 1 minute promo. Like, struggling to find myself as a wrestler. Then giving the spotlight to KTV, asked being a part of that group, and really only being known because of them, because of KTV. You're Forever Young's best friend. You're friends with Maxximillion. Cool. Let's talk about me for a sec. Like, nobody took the time to really. It was just KTV for so long, and then it all blew up in shambles, Jam. And I saw this kid Maxximillion continue to find himself, and hats off to the kid. At the end of the day, I will give respect to where respect is due, and despite the unbearing hatred in my heart. Yeah, I think that's where me and Max relate. We're both emotional guys. You see when emotions run high, Jam. So yeah, I gave that spotlight to KTV for so long. I watched Max leave the group, deny DTA, and do his own thing, while I was forgotten. Unwanted, almost, Jam.
Is that where another nickname of yours come from? The Unwanted Dean Hendrix?
Yes, sir. Unwanted Dean Hendrix comes from it's a lot. Very personal. It's not anything I made into my gimmick, per se. But it's something I've always felt. Kind of like my whole life. When I was young, I always felt like I was that friend that if disappeared, life would move on. That was always a feeling in the back of my mind. That came from, my dad being on the road, doing shows, this and that, and then eventually getting into addictions. And that made me feel unwanted as well. Even more personal note, Jam. I was in a relationship for 8 years that ended last year. And it's not something I didn't see coming. So that made me feel unwanted in a way. And then not only that, but then you go to all these shows and all these guys who've been trained as much as you, or as long as you, or even trained after you, being on these posters, winning these titles, being on Match Graphics. You want to know how many Match Graphics Dean Hendrix was on before 2003? Maybe 3. I've been trained since August 2021. But that's fine. I can grudge my teeth and take my back seat. It only fuels that fire even more and makes that drive even more intense whenever I do get that chance. And it's helped me in a way. It's helped me discover the wrestler who I am. So it's not no pity party for Dean Hendrix. It's not no feeling sorry for myself. That's realizing the work that needs to be put in and that I have put in. There's a wrestler, ABZ. I don't really talk that much, but as we used to. But he said something that meant a lot to me a few months ago. He walked up to me. He was like, "Brother, night and day." He was talking about the wrestler that I was and the wrestler that I'm becoming today, and that gives me enough to keep moving forward, no matter what I go through, no matter how crazy I get. Keeps me moving forward, baby.
And that's something I think is undeniable. You have put in a whole lot of work, and now it's slowly starting to pay off with all these different opportunities. But in putting in the work, I kind of want to backtrack a little bit and just ask, kind of go back to when you said that you have to be a student of the game. How did you become a student of this game, specifically in training? How did you start training, and where did you train?
So, I trained at House of Truth by Truth Martini, and so a little bit more of a personal note for y'all. I went to that class first off in April 2020. Yeah, and they combined like 2 classes together because of COVID. So the assistant trainer was Mysterious Movado at the time, and I'll never forget, I went to go body slam this one guy. Sandbagged me, Jam. I mean, everybody's learning, so no big deal, but I heard my back pop like 3 times. Messed up my back, and that, I was already like, to be honest with you, I was in a bad relationship at the time. And then not only that, but my dad was not even about a year removed from being passed. So I was all in my head, all in my thoughts, beating myself up, going through a lot of depression, anxiety, and stuff. And I just went up to Truth, and I was like, oh, because I was week 1 champion there, so I thought like I had something, you know. So fast forward a few weeks later, I couldn't do that, and I'm like, you know, I get in my head about it. I go to ask Truth, and I didn't ask him. I just like, you know, maybe I think I need to rethink things. I don't know if this guy's. I was hoping he'd like say, you'd stay, like, or you should stay. You got something, kid. He didn't ask me to stay. Didn't do anything to encourage me to stay. Nothing. And I don't blame him for that. I think that was, you need to go discover yourself, kid. And I think, you know, you'll realize you are made for this. And not even a year later, I don't know if I sent him a message or I popped up at House of Truth, but I was like, I'd like to come back, sir. I was like, they're always more than welcome. So I joined again, completed training, like I said, August 2021. And first match was against Jamie Eternal. That was how I started that, and then I've been working out ever since I was 18. So viewers, I know I don't look too big, but I used to be 130. I used to be 130 pounds. I'm talking about like skin and bone. So I'm what they call in bodybuilding, like or weightlifting, a hard gainer. I'm burning calories right now as we speak, which is cool. But that just, you know, so I had to like really learn, because like I wouldn't always be hungry, or like I wouldn't have like the hugest appetite. But so I had to learn to, you know, get that up or be fine with being full and continue eating in order to put some weight on. Because, man, I'll never forget when I first started. I was still skinny then. Like, it's only until like this year I feel like I've been making a difference and everything. And that's just like really like staying on top of things. So for anybody at home that thinks independent wrestler is somebody who works a shoot job and then just shows up and plays wrestler or plays WWE guy, get out of here with all that. This is my passion. This is a lifestyle. I work out almost every day. I eat right. I try to do things there. I try to still, like we've talked about, be a student of this game. So that means tape study, go up and train at House of Truth, work on different stuff, and yeah, continue like figuring out like who Dean Hendrix is. It's a lifestyle, but it's a really fun lifestyle, and that's why I've made it my passion for sure.
Yes, that's a fact that a lot of people don't realize, that being a wrestler is very much practically a 24/7 job. Like, you're not just coming in to wrestle. Like, once the curtain is closed, you're bulking up, you're working on your body, you're working on yourself, you're studying the tapes. That's practically an everyday thing. There's 1,001 things that need to be done before you even come through the curtain for your match.
Yeah, that's something that, like, that's something what you should like aspire to be. I mean, as a kid, did you like imagine wrestling in front of like a crowd that like you can barely give a moment to, or would you rather wrestle in front of a ton of people and give a moment to them? And that only happens through like learning, and what a lot of guys sometimes don't do is ears open, mouth shut.
Are there any inspirations as far as like wrestlers in the game, or who used to be in the game, who really stood out to you that made you think, oh, I can do this, or I want to be this?
Oh yeah, for sure. Jeff Hardy, top tier. Jeff Hardy, top tier for me. I was 8 years old, flicking through the channels, depressed little 8-year-old man, and flipped through the channels, and I come across SmackDown. I'm like, oh, I've seen this wrestling stuff, a couple times. Maybe I don't think there's anything on. Let me keep this on. Eventually, Jeff Hardy rolled around, coming out to No More Words and stuff. I'm like, who is this? this dude's dope. And he just caught my attention and allowed me to escape, man. And I'll never forget, like, I started watching SmackDown like every week because they started pushing him. That's when they gave him that first big title push. And I'm like, this dude's so dope. I'm like, you know, as a kid, I'm like, why is so many like stuff like happening to this guy? Like, why can't he just win the title? And then finally, Armageddon 2008, him versus Triple H versus Edge for the WWE Championship. And Jeff Hardy pulled it off. I'll never forget. And he pulled it off because I think I like Jeff because he wasn't the ideal wrestler look, and I think that's why he caught my attention. Everybody was all bulked up on, I won't say steroids, but bulked up and big jacked up guys, and all wearing, like Speedo trunks. It was one kind of my thing. It was like 8-year-old. Seeing Jeff though, that like told, like, I just felt like he had like my style. Like at the time, I was like, if this guy could do it, maybe one day I could grow up and do it. And ever since I was hooked on wrestling, it was every week. Just, it's like I made like time for it. It's like no matter what, it became something that was either like on in the background. It's like I just did nothing as a kid, or played wrestlers, or my biggest one, wrestled my pillow. That was a big one that I did. As I did that, I did some swantons and some rock bottoms.
But did you win?
Oh yeah. Especially when I got the WWE Championship from Toys R Us. I also got the Armageddon tape. I put it on. Wrestled that pillow to that match, man. Yeah. But he was my biggest inspiration. I'd say some other ones is CM Punk from 2011, of course. Just great stuff. It was just like made me interested in like wrestling again. Like, holy crap, is this happening? Especially at the time, because I was only like 11, maybe 12. I'm like, what is happening right now, dude? Like, they're really letting him do this? I'm like, oh, they're cutting his mics. He went too far. All this and that, and it was just really good stuff. And another one for me is I'd say I learned to love Mick Foley. Mick Foley is he gave so much to this business. Like, grateful for that man's existence because gave so much when he didn't need to. Such a good wrestler, but because of that era, he felt like he needed to. And he even had Ric Flair like, Mick, like, why are you doing this ridiculous bump? Like, you're gonna kill yourself. Like, you ain't gotta do. But he felt he needed to because he didn't have that hot wrestler, big bodybuilder look. He made his own way. Had one of the biggest Raw moments of all time, and that was really dope when I started like looking back into like wrestling history when I learned about that. And last one, I'd probably go with Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, just because just somebody who worked, like, he works hard, man. That promo, speaking of that, I think another reason why I bring him up is because recently I saw that promo with him and John Cena. John Cena was in the era of like cutting every dude down, like chopping them up, like for how they are backstage, and like literally verbally like assaulted him. And one of the things he started saying to Dean was, so I'm gonna challenge you like how Stone Cold challenged you, or like, are you gonna step up? Or, like, are you offended by that or something like that? It was that intense podcast he had with Stone Cold. And oh man, Jon Moxley stood his ground, stood on business, and that man was saying how like he's been there, he's been putting in the work. He had no sick days, he had no off days. Worked this show, that show, like just really like saying like the lifestyle of it all. Like not like taking like no shortcut. While at the time like John Cena was starting to like phase out. Yeah, like from what I hear, like John Cena was always like very hands-on like backstage, so I know that's probably a little bit of real life animosity. So it was like cool to see somebody like stand their ground on like their hard work and their dedication, you know, to this business, because that's what it is.
You got some really interesting picks for your inspirations, because with each of those picks, like you kind of alluded to, like these are men who weren't really viewed as having the ideal body or being the ideal wrestler or being just ideal period, especially for this business. But like CM Punk, like Jeff Hardy, Mick Foley, Dean Ambrose, they all overcame, be it the odds or overcame the stigma, to become champions. And that's kind of where you are now. Like you said yourself that you felt like you were unwanted at some point in your life, maybe still are, and it seems like these men are not necessarily people you're trying to emulate, because there's only one Dean Hendrix, but these are people who you connect with, and you could be following those footsteps very soon, especially if on June 14th you win the Interstate Championship.
Exactly. Yeah, man. Yeah, those are all guys who didn't, like, don't get me wrong, no hate. Like, I love John, like I love all the big, you know, natural look. Like, I love all of them. Like, I mean, Shawn Michaels, like, at the time was pretty, like, new for his, like, certain look. But, like, he had a dope look. Like, Flair, Stone Cold, Rock, Triple H, John Cena, Randy Orton, like, all those guys who, like, you know, bodybuild. Like, I tried to, it's all respect, because that's a lot of hard work, too. But I also respect the guys who didn't have that certain look, who figured out how to give these fans a moment, because at the end of the day, that's what really matters, is giving them moments, making them care about you, whether it's getting them to sit in a seat to watch you get smacked around, or sitting in a seat to watch you pin the guy you want to see get smacked around, you know?
I definitely get the impression that you take in a lot of wrestling, be it up close and personal or just in an AEW or WWE, and it seems like you try to digest as much as you can, see what you can learn from, and you do take away a lot from, especially the stuff you see on TV. But that kind of makes me curious as far as, what are some names that you've worked with personally that you feel like you've learned from? You've mentioned a few in passing, like AVZ, Alex Van Zandt. So is there anyone else who you feel like you've learned from, either as a mentor, a friend, anyone you've worked with that inspires you?
First one that comes to mind, Dread King Logan. Dread King Logan is an amazing independent wrestler, and I feel like if Dread King Logan was able to take 10 years off his life right now, you'd see Dread King Logan on TV. I believe that with my heart. You know why I call him Dread King, right?
Why is that?
So like going to work, or being yelled at, or getting in trouble, like doing this and that, those are things you dread, right?
Yes.
He's the king of dread. It never really, it didn't really come to, you know, kind of went over my head, like, the first few times I'd hear his name, you know, because, I don't know, it's just an adjective I wouldn't really think of. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, no way, that's freaking dope. And it was just such a well put together character. He had his own style, promo wise, how he taught, like, everything about him just, like, stood out as his own self. He didn't emulate somebody else. He became himself. Don't get me wrong, like, I can do moves like, I don't know, make me emulate a certain somebody, or I can say a certain line that maybe emulates a certain promo or segment, but I don't want to, you know, like I want to be me. I want to be remembered for me. Same way, like, Dread King, like, figured out how to be remembered for him. And, yeah, just like a really, really dope dude, like, top mentor for me. Has done a lot for me. Fun-loving criminals. The Godfather, the DBA, Jamie Cox, and Eddie Venom. It was a really fun match that I did not expect, nor to be their last match and expect that, and that was such an honor. And I remember I learned so much because we did an angle at the beginning of the show where, like, they got the crowd going and cheering. So it was like around Halloween. They came out dressed as the Golden Girls, and that was really funny. So that was their Halloween costume, right? So KTB spoils the party, and we beat them down, you know, rip off their dress and wigs, beat them down. And I remember I went for a stomp on Jamie Cox. And I try to be a little too cool with it. I try to have a little bit too much style, Jam, and I hopped up on the rope. I came down for the stomp. When I came down, my knee buckled in, and I was worried I wasn't gonna be able to do the match. But I learned a lot from them and how to get through that match and be all right. And I was all right, and it was a really fun match. Learned so much from them, and another one I'd say is for the last one, I don't want to name too much. Jake Chris recently wrestled me, and that was such an honor because that was my first ever TV guy. And surprisingly, I didn't pull off a lot of tricks in that match. I probably did a few things, but let me tell you, was that crowd hot, man. Like, I'm talking about. So I know it's probably not, an R-rated podcast, so I'll say I got a Holy S chant for the first time in my career. That was really cool. And even though everybody in attendance who were showing up at the show were going to be talking about the main event, I made them talk about my match. And that was a good feeling. That also goes around to SCW here, when I had not only that triple threat, but that singles match with Max. That got everybody talking. Like, those are the type of matches I want to have. And I had that with Jake and learned so much. Man, that was so fun. I learned so much. Shouts out to him, because after we talked, he thought I was the type of person that needs to go everywhere and anywhere. And that's when I really was like, okay, Dean Hendrix was made to be in this business. And I think that's when I didn't feel so unwanted anymore. I don't exaggerate nights of my life or anything, but that was for sure one of my top nights of my life, 100%.
Nice. I'm glad you got to experience that.
Yeah.
You do make a good point about, as far as him telling you to kind of go anywhere and everywhere, and you can go anywhere and everywhere, and you do. You spread your wings in a lot of places, and it's well deserved. But on that same point, I kind of want to ask, what is it about SCW that kind of keeps you coming back to SCW? As someone who can go anywhere and everywhere, you choose to come back time and time again to SCW.
So, for a more real note, because I could go on a promo, but I'm gonna keep it more real. I wasn't getting a lot of so in wrestling, kiddies at home, when you are a wrestler, you get bookings. I wasn't getting that. Even towards the end of last year, I wasn't getting a ton. And I remember I talked to Father Marquise, and we're a little bit tight sometimes behind the scenes. Sometimes he grinds my gears, but and he was like, "You should come out to SCW. It's a nice promotion." And I was like, "All right, And I came out, and the rest was history. I started. I feel like I really started finding my footing around this time that I entered here. So this was finally one of the first promotions that stuck, where it was I'd have a match and be like, "We want you back. What are you doing this?" That was one and that's crazy. That's I'm 2, 3, and that was one of the first that was doing that. So kind of prioritize this place, really, because I just like how it helps me continue to find Dean Hendrix in a way. or the next version of Dean in a way, you know. Because I say that, and you always gotta evolve. So this place helps me find that. So yeah, I appreciate you also, like, because I'm not gonna be mean to Jam today. It's gonna be a little bit more real, not so crazy today. And I appreciate you wanting me to be one of your first guests on the show. That really means a lot. Plus, you know, you said it, like, how can I not, like, take that opportunity, you know? Especially if you care about this stuff. Mm-hmm. You know? So, yeah.
And by all means, I appreciate you coming on, like, to peel the curtain back a little bit. You were a pleasure to work with all the time. Or
of course, man.
Fun to be around, fun to talk to, and just good to just bounce ideas off of here and there. So, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, being one of the first guests. And before we go, I just want to ask, do you have any last words you want to say to the people at home?
Yeah, just expect more Dean. Just expect more Dean Hendrix. Expect more Dean. You could always get two sides of me. You get somebody that's very emotional, like the side that SCW has been seeing lately, or you get the life of the party, baby, and that's the son of a rock star that I am. So, yeah, you're gonna continue hearing about Dean Hendrix. You're gonna, hopefully, to this state, to across this country one day. So, I'm gonna keep grinding, baby. We're looking forward to June 14th at Modern Skate Park.
That's right.
Versus Johnny Goh for the Interstate title. Here's your promo, Jam. I saw that Johnny Goh back in Berkeley came out with a guitar. You gonna use that, bud? You gonna strum me some chords, some love notes when you come out, or you gonna try to smash it over my head like Double J? Either way, it's funny the different parallels it looked like we have taken. I try to add layers to this rock star thing while, I don't know. So, I hope you watch The Outsiders before June 14th, so you get your mean greaser on. Because, coming for that title, my man. Like I said, it's going on 3 years now that I've been in this business. Not one singles title. Every single time I get an opportunity, slips through my fingers. Every single time I work hard, it doesn't get seen. Like I said, Jam, just feels that fire even harder, so get ready to feel that fire, Johnny Goh. Before we go, though, SCW wants to understand something. Why is Dean Hendrix doing this? Well, why is Dean Hendrix messing up all these interstate title matches? Why did Dean Hendrix injure Maxi Poo? Why did he do all that? Because, have y'all ever seen what happens to a rock star when he don't get what he wants? SCW, if you are a smart company, you'll be betting on Hendrix come June 14th. Oh, that's another thing. Headliner Hendrix, baby. Yeah. We're headlining June 14th versus Johnny Goh for that interstate title. So it's been a pleasure, Jam. It's been a real pleasure. I hope everybody at home enjoyed getting a peek behind the curtain at what makes Dean Hendrix tick and why he's not always quite sane in the head.
That was the headliner, Dean Hendrix, and this was SCW Breakdown.
Keep it rocking, y'all.
This is Superior Championship Wrestling.
Thank you for listening to SCW Breakdown, the official podcast of Superior Championship Wrestling. You can subscribe to us on all podcasting platforms and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X at Superior Championship Wrestling to keep in touch for when the next episode of SCW Breakdown is set to release.